All right, so this is a suggestion via Discord. The name of the video is New Polling Shows the Impact of Harris's Campaign on RFK Jr. Let's go and check it out.
So we're getting some fresh data in on how Vice President Kamala Harris, her entrance as the expected Democratic nominee for president, is changing potentially the turnout math this election. CNN's Harry Anton has much more on this. 2020, Harry, saw record turnout.
Yes.
What are you looking at in terms of what this election could look like?
Yeah, so, if we were to go back, and I want to sort of create a timeline here to give you an understanding of just how much the entrance of Kamala Harris into this race, as well as the post-RNC bump for Donald Trump, has changed the potential turnout math. We were looking at a potentially much lower turnout this go-around in 2024 than 2020. So this is almost certain to vote in the election. You look post-debate 2024, look at that. It was just 55% of registered voters. That was actually the same as it was pre-debate, 55%. It was significantly lower than it was in 2020 during the summer when it was 60%. But look at where we are now. We are now at 62% after the RNC, after Kamala Harris gets into this race. And that is actually a higher number than what we saw during the summer of 2020 when it was 60%. So at this particular point, as we look at the math right now, if we are trusting what voters are saying, it's actually possible we'll see higher turnout than what we saw in 2020, which is what you pointed out was record turnout. So quite the shift here. It's not just enthusiasm. It's actually people saying that they're going to go out and almost certainly vote.
Guys, listen, I love the fact that people vote. I want everyone to be able to do it, just do it very smartly, right? So now, what I'm seeing by looking at these numbers is, okay, Biden is in office. People are basically falling asleep, bro. They're asleep. They're not excited about this candidate at all. They see all his gaffes, right? And then they're like, okay, great, he's about to leave. Let's put someone else in. All right, they do that, and then of course the numbers go up. That's how much, that should tell you right now, that's how much people disliked Joe Biden.
If you believe what voters are saying with that guy.
If we don't, then this is all not going to work.
It's probably not going to work. Not how you think it is, at least, right? People can easily select something on a poll, but it really doesn't mean that they're actually going to go out there. Again, if you really want to understand this, look at the Bernie Sanders debacle. He had a lot of people going out for him, for real. A lot of people. None of them showed up for him at the polls, guys. That's the reality, right? So, and I like to use that example because that shows you that people will say one thing, like what she just said, right? People will say one thing, and then when it's actually time to stand in those long lines, they don't show up.
Well, it's all funny money anyway. Yeah. Why?
Why is it? Well, throughout this entire cycle, we've been pointing out that there were a ton of voters who disliked both Biden and Donald Trump. So pre-RNC, right? 20% in the New York Times polling, 20% in Ipsos polling. Look at where we are today. Look how dramatically these numbers have dropped. Look at this. New York Times down to 8% who say they dislike Harris and Trump. How about Ipsos? The same pattern, 7%. This is very different now than what we saw prior. It looks a lot more like 2020 when it was just 3% who disliked both major party candidates, and very much unlike what we saw in 2016 when it was 18% in the exit polls, which looked a lot more like what we saw earlier in the year. So the fact is, voters are much more apt to at least like one of the candidates, and I think that's part of the reason why voters are much more likely to turn out, because if you dislike both major party candidates, why actually turn out and vote?
But that was what RFK Jr. was counting on. That worked,
right, that's exactly.
On some level.
That was what he was counting on. In fact, that was his core group of voters, right? Those who dislike both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. So what's happened to him now? Look at this. He was at 15% in December. He was at 10% post-debate. He has dropped all the way down to 5%. The fact that Harris
and he is not happy with it.
He is not happy about it.
What I've noticed, guys, about corporate media specifically, they love dunking on that man. All right, every single time I've seen him on whatever channel it is, right? You guys send me a lot of things kind of regarding him. His name's in the title. You know what I'm saying here? And every single time I see that happening, so it makes me want to know more about his policies. It does. It makes me want to know a lot more about him. Why? Because of what corporate media is doing to this man's character. I'm telling you, right? They all like dunking on him. Like, how dare you come against, our established two-party system? How dare you think you can do anything? Basically, is what they're saying, and every time I see it, it makes me cringe a little bit. Like, bro, we're allegedly a democracy with a lowercase d, basically, right? But this is crazy. All right,
is not happy about it. The fact that the voters actually do like one of the major party candidates really is devastating to his campaign. He might not even reach 5%. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up with 2 or 3%. Not exactly a strong showing for someone who entered the race with some possibilities.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. John?
All right, with us now is Congressman Mike Quigley, a Democrat from Illinois. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. You spoke in your mind quite a bit the last month or so, and at times, I think, received a lot of heat for it. But I'm going to count on you to speak your mind again this morning, because most people we ask about who Vice President Kamala Harris should pick as a running mate, they say, oh, she'll make the right choice. Whoever she picks will be great. We have such a deep bench. You, though, I've been reading this morning, have suggested you maybe think Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania would be the best pick. Why?
No, well, let me say, I violate my own rule of speculation and such things. I'm for the home court bench, JB Pritzker's, because he led Illinois through such difficult times, and he really knows how to campaign. I speculated that if that wasn't the case and they were going to pick someone from a swing state, Pennsylvania is the one state you absolutely need to win in Democratic math. But I'm going to stay with my friend JB Pritzker.
You have maintained your membership card as a Chicagoan. That aside, though, because Pritzker doesn't appear to be on the shortest of short lists here, but that aside, you say Pennsylvania is essential. Why? And what would Shapiro do for you there?
He's popular east to west, and I think that's absolutely critical. I will say
I think he's popular within like the governmental circles, let's say, because I've never heard of him a day in my life.
It's early, and we give way too much credence to who the vice presidential nominee is. I think they can do more harm than good. And frankly speaking, on the Republican,
give me an example of that.
I think they can do more harm than good.
Okay.
And frankly speaking, on the Republican side, I think their choice has borne out to be a big mistake. The
JD
fact
Vance?
that Trump has to defend him on a regular basis means that there's a problem. He's underwater on polling. He's got to.
Guys, I will point out that JD Vance is actually helping the Democrat Party every single time he speaks. He is. There needs to be someone kind of in his corner making sure that every single thing that he says is scripted and vetted.
Extreme values and statements on things like choice and climate change. So, if Trump was the smartest candidate, he would have picked someone to appeal to that middle. I just put it in context. Let's remember it's early. Trump won by 3 states, the total of 78,000 votes in 2016. In 2020, President Biden won in 3 states by less than 50,000 votes. These swing voters, these persuadable voters, I don't think we're going to change their minds till after November. After Labor Day.
Yeah, you can't. After November is probably too late. But after Labor Day, I get what you're saying.
Listen, here's the thing. I'm trying to get a full picture on that and like exactly what's happening here. I don't want Kamala Harris, period. So do better, okay? You're going to have to give me something that's important to me specifically if you really want specifically my vote, right? Or anyone like me, right? Because so far there's nothing there for me, guys, right? But let's continue.
Saying right there.
No.
Congressman, you were one of the first and loudest sitting members of Congress to call on President Biden to exit the race. Criticized by some senior Democrats for that. Now that it's happened, how do you feel? How surprised are you by how things have unfolded? And I do sense, trepidation or sort of a sense of being measured and cautious now from you.
No, I'll say this, relieved beyond comprehension. Was a very difficult decision politically from even an emotional point of view, because I respect President Biden so much. And as always, he put the country first and made the right decision. And the fact is, I was being told that this would create chaos and would have absurd notions of a 1968 convention in Chicago, an open convention. That hasn't happened. The vice president had several tasks, which I think she carried out: unite the party, ignite the base, reverse.
Are you just saying things just to make them just to say things, guys? 'Cause what exactly did she do?
The polling, $200 million in the first week, 58,000 new volunteers in the first 24 hours, and they're seeing the polling trends go in the opposite direction. So, mission accomplished. I'm relieved. Now the work begins.
So obviously, foreign policy will be an issue in this campaign, and former President Trump, in an interview with Fox, was attacking the vice president with comments that I think there were people, they found them offensive. Listen to what he said.
Okay, let's go.
They look at her and they say, we can't believe we got so lucky. They're going to walk all over her. And I don't want to say as to why, but a lot of people understand it.
So he was saying that foreign leaders are going to think they could walk all over her. I don't want to say why, but people understand it. What do you think he means?
No, I don't. Wait. Go. Tell me.
By that.
Yeah, the dog whistles and code words and phrases are out in full force. It took from what's been reported, a lecture in the Republican caucus to tell people to stop talking about race and gender so much to their members. But you can't hold back Trump on such things. The fact of the matter is,
Guys, no. The fact of the matter is, the world is not the West, right? Like hearing what he said, he's saying it because she's a woman. I think in the context, how does that sound? It sounds terrible, right? But the problem here is that the world is not the West. Okay, the best place to be, period, for a woman is the West, not the East, here. Okay, the United States of America, Israel, the UK, Australia, and a good bit of Europe, not all of Europe, right? These are the places where women are going to have any resemblance, let's say, of equality. These other places, no, they are going to. They're going to not treat her the same way as if they would treat someone else. They're not going to respect her the same way as they would someone else. I think that's the reality. I mean, we can play the games like that's not the truth of the matter here, but it's the truth of the matter to many, many, many places on Earth. Other than the places that I just mentioned, there are going to be issues, right? And regardless of how it's perceived, right? Here specifically, I can only imagine how hard it would be for her to even not stand up, because that's a given, right? But to earn the respect of these individuals, right? I mean, we can definitely just look at also the one of the more recent leaders of Germany, because her experiences were also interesting. Okay. So we can argue it and act like it's a crazy statement. It sounds crazy because you're looking at it from a very one-dimensional standpoint, I think. I'm not trying to protect what this man said. It sounds crazy. It does, right? But if I flush it out just a little bit, it sounds like that's just what he's saying here without saying it. But either way, let's continue.
But, you can't hold back Trump on such things. The fact of the matter is, foreign leaders are looking at this race, and they're seeing that our voters have a clear choice, and the fate of democracy, it's not hyperbole, in our country and for the rest of the world, many of them feel is hanging on this race. Where's NATO going? Keyed on what we do in Ukraine and Eastern Europe. So this is the race of our lifetime on national and foreign policy. I think Trump is right. Foreign leaders are looking at this, but I think they're looking at the opposite direction. They see a strong leader, the vice president, who's reaffirmed her support.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't. You can literally look at what she has done. You're saying that she's done all these magical things, brought the party together. What are you talking about? What are you saying? Right? there has not been many things that she has done that have actually been meaningful to the majority of America. There just isn't, right? You're referring to your partisan opinion, right? What has she done about the border, guys? She borders are. Do you see what's going on at our border? That enough is a reason why she should not exist in any type of power, guys. I'm sorry.
At the opposite direction, they
That's
see
weakness.
a strong leader, the vice president, who's reaffirmed her support for NATO and Ukraine and Israel with all the concerns that go with that. And they see him as sort of extremist and not going to be concerned with anybody outside our own country.
Congressman Mike Quigley, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Always appreciate talking to you.
Okay. Listen, we can't be the watchdogs of the Earth, of the planet Earth like that, guys. All right, like I get it. You wanna send. You want to keep printing money, right? While we're paying crazy high taxes, you want to keep just pulling money out of thin air and lowering the value of whatever the average American actually has saved for the exclusive benefit of other nations, basically destroying our U.S. dollar for the benefit of other nations other than ours, while we have American citizens struggling to live in a country that is becoming more and more and more expensive exclusively because you government decided that it was going to be a great idea to again start printing fictitious money, guys, right? And then sending it outside of the United States of America, right? Then actually being the ones that are really causing the influx of migrants coming to our southern border, actually causing it, right? If all of these countries are basing their currency off of the US dollar, and then one day you print like $10 trillion, what does $1 mean anymore? Right? What does that? The dollar before you started printing the money meant a lot to a lot of people around the world. Right? You just made it so if it's bad for us, trust me, it's really bad for them. All right. So what are they doing? Running through our southern border. Right. You want to say that Kamala Harris has done all these great things, but what exactly has she done? Right. What exactly has she done? But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day. Thoroughly. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.